Welcome to Powercoat Music. In this presentation, we're going to talk about sampling. What exactly is sampling? Well, the context of sampling can be different depending upon your requirements, who you talk to, and the environment that you're working in. In this presentation, we're going to talk about two primary categories of sampling, which are audio source sampling and music sampling. With audio source sampling, you have the process of transforming a musical source into a digital file. Digital audio recording does this by taking samples or snapshots of the audio source along the sound waves at regular intervals. These sounds can then be played back by means of a hardware sampler, a software program, a MIDI keyboard, a sequencer, or another triggering device to perform or compose music. A single sample can be filtered, pitch shifted to different pitches, and more to produce musical scales and chords. Music sampling is the process used by a producer or a musician where they take a part of an existing song and use it in the creation of a new recording. This excerpt is generally layered, looped, and reprocessed into a new musical composition using other newly recorded tracks. Now we'll begin with audio source sampling and a basic explanation of how sound works. Sound starts as a series of vibrations or pressure waves in the air. Now when they reach a microphone, they cause elements within the microphone to move back and forth. This in turn creates fluctuating electrical signals that rise and fall around a center or a zero line. A basic sound wave, after it's been converted into an electrical signal, may look like the image that's now shown on your screen. Originally, analog tape recorders would record these signals by converting the electrical fluctuations into magnetic fluctuations, and then imprinting a continuous copy onto the magnetic surface of the tape. A digital recorder works differently, right? When a sound is digitally recorded, the level of the signal is measured or sampled thousands of times per second. Now each number is then recorded as a number in memory. If the same analog signal image that was previously shown on your screen were recorded digitally, it would look like this image. Now here's the bottom line. Digital samplers don't actually record the sound. What they do is they record a series of discrete numbers. Each number is then, or should I say each number represents the level of the signal at a given instant in time. When played back, a digital sampler then reconstructs the original signal by connecting the dots, producing an output voltage which corresponds to the numbers in memory. This is now shown on your screen. This voltage can then be amplified and sent to speakers, which turns it back into pressure waves in the air so that it can be heard by us. Now here's where the sample rate comes in. The sample rate determines how often a signal is measured. That is, how close together the dots would be in the illustration that was shown on the screen. For example, if you were using a sample rate of 30 kilohertz or 30 kHz, this means that you're sampling the audio signal 30,000 times per second. We know that higher sample rates provide a more accurate picture of the waveform and a better frequency response. However, keep in mind that higher sample rates will also use more of the system's memory since it's generating more numbers per second that have to be stored. The industry standard for digital recordings such as CDs are 44.1 kilohertz or kHz, and it has been that way for decades. Here's some suggestions to help get higher quality audio samples. When using a digital recorder to obtain samples, start with the cleanest possible signal. Now, this may seem obvious, but a sample or any other recording for that matter can only be as good as the original signal. Also, focus on the signal path. For example, if you connect an audio input of the digital recorder from a mixer, Using the direct out from an individual channel is better than using an auxiliary send because there are fewer preamps and less noise in the chain. Also, if you use an auxiliary or a main send, make sure that only the channels you want to use for the sample are turned up in the send. If at all possible, please try and use the right microphone for the job. For more details on how to do exactly just that, watch my presentation, Microphones Simply Explained, on this channel. Last but not least, try digitally recording the live sound on another recorder first and then sample from that source. This is important when adjusting the input level. Before sampling, you can play the sound as many times as necessary, watching the meter and adjusting the level of the signal. Avoid clipping at all costs, of course. Now, this process provides repeatability. For example, suppose you're sampling a string section live and they suddenly play that perfect note that you have been waiting for. After making the sample, you discover that that input level was too high and the sample was clipped. Unfortunately, you can't get them to play that note just the same way they did again, so that whole moment is lost. If you have the sample previously recorded, you could simply make your adjustments and sample it from the recording source again. Let's talk about an important sampling term called aliasing. Digital samplers can only accurately record frequencies up to 1/2 of that of the sample rate. This frequency, which is half of the sample rate, is known as the Nyquist frequency. Trying to sample sounds that contain frequencies above half the sample rate will result in aliasing, which is the creation of false or alias low frequency tones when the sound is played back. For example, if we sampled our previous waveform example at a lower sample rate, which is less times per second, the digital recorder will try to reproduce this sound to connect the dots as in our earlier screen image. The resulting wave does not look much like the original because it doesn't have enough sample points to accurately recreate it. To prevent aliasing, digital samplers include an anti-aliasing filter, which removes frequencies above the cutoff point before the signal reaches the sample circuitry. Whenever you change the sample rate, these units will automatically adjust its input filter to the highest suitable cutoff frequency for that rate. Most units will also allow you to change the anti-aliasing functionality manually if you want or need a higher or lower setting. Let's move on to music sampling. Music sampling represents a higher level of audio source sampling. This is where a section of an existing musical recording is used in the creation of a new musical composition. The legality of this process is not ambiguous, and that music which is sampled is the property of the copyright owner. Anyone wanting to sample existing music should get clearance from the copyright owner first. Otherwise, this can lead to legal issues that include copyright infringements, and you do not want to go there. For additional information regarding music licensing, copyright law, and fair use, contact the performing rights organizations such as BMI and ASCAP. Sampling music can be fairly straightforward. Anyone with a PC and the right software should be able to do it. This process includes, but is not limited to, purchasing or downloading free digital audio workstation or DAW software. Then importing the music files you want to sample into your DAW software application. Popular music formats include .wav files and .mp3 format files. You would use the cut and paste feature of the software to obtain the sample section of the music that you want to use. Once you do that, the sample can now be looped to create a groove or a repeating rhythm. Now check the manual of your DAW software program to learn how the looping functionality works for this specific purpose. More often, new compositions are created from many different samples. This is common with genres like rap and hip hop. With this, the entire process is repeated as necessary to create a new song. Well, my friends, that's a wrap. If you like this presentation, please give it the thumbs up and click the subscribe button on your screen now to join our group. We have new presentations coming out every 7 to 14 days, and we would love to have you be a part of our team. Also, leave a comment in the comment section below. Let us know what you feel about this content, and check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Spotify. While you're here, check out some of the music, the videos, and also the playlist because they're designed just for you. Thank you so much for stopping by. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you soon.